The truth about playing WoW today is that the endgame is stale, the loot sucks, story is lifeless, and it doesn't even value your time and money in any meaningful way. Sounds about right? Well, we didn't even scratch the surface.
Unless you are outside doing more interesting things like working out and breathing,
you are logging into Dragonflight, which has you doing the exact same classical activities as, well, classic WoW, as part of your endgame. Dungeons and raids. Wait, there are arenas you mean? Sorry, are arenas today a good indication of a healthy and interesting endgame? I don't think so. Having to grind power in a video game, especially WoW, is nothing new, and it's definitely something that people enjoy, even if they think they don't want to.
You don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't.
Admit it. When you had the carrot on the stick game system, you still logged in, didn't you? It might not have always been the best tasting carrot, at least you got to eat. Endgame progression systems that were similar to AP farming served their purpose. They had some terrible implementations like the literal AP grind from Legion and BFA, but also surprisingly good implementations like
manipulate emotions.
corruptions in 8.3. You didn't think I had an answer, did you? Well, hear me out on this one, alright? Obtaining corruptions was poorly executed, but no matter how annoying it was, at least provided you with a satisfying payout of doing stupid amounts of damage with Twilight Devastation, or literally breaking the DPS meters as a fire mage stacking mastery corruptions. And you would farm those in all the usual content like raids and dungeons, and on top of it, you had horrific visions as well. And this is what is sorely missing today in Dragonflight. Horrific visions were akin to a roguelike gameplay experience where the difficulty of them lessened the more you progressed your obligatory panel of insert points to gain passives and powers system. As a comparison, in Dragonflight you have fucking digs, man. Really? Am I digging to find my missing youth? Nah, not even a unique cool item or an upgrade for a sweet weapon. We dig for a useless item that does not help with endgame unless you replace it. And that is another thing. When you kill a mob and you loot it, how excited are you? Are you slaying the dragon, right-clicking its decomposing corpse and saying, "Hey, neato, I have an epic"? No, you are not. And don't lie to me, because you are likely still deciphering the three-dimensional chessboard that is the loot system. 6 different quality items with dozens of total ranks to go through using 5 different currencies that come from different difficulties of the game. How is a new player supposed to feel about all of this? I'll tell you how. The player isn't playing Dragonflight. And if you don't believe it, try to remember the last time you queued for a dungeon or a raid. Was your group easy and quick to make? I bet it wasn't. I bet you were thinking something like, game is better now, right? It's more alt-friendly than past expansions, so why aren't people playing? And you are right! Why aren't people playing Dragonflight now more than, say, BFA, which was known as a terrible expansion with likely the worst alt-friendly systems ever? Here's why. It was fun and satisfying to loot Azurite armor more so than yet another haste mastery item. It was more fun to put your corruption on your pants and fire off a beam of damage that annihilated a pack of mobs. Even island expeditions were more interesting than community feasts. Oh, and also, there's this orc and he is angry at this human who is also angry at the orc. It's looking like they're about to fight. Oh, and look, they are fighting. But why? I guess I have to play to find out. In contrast, the Dragonflight game cover showcases Alexstrasza's main and most powerful skill ever introduced in WoW, her ability to bluff her way to riches, since I haven't seen a better poker face than when my dad told my mom she doesn't look fat in that dress. Ironically, the cover is a very accurate representation of the overall emotionless feeling the game imparts on the player. The dragon roars, but it's roaring because dragons roar. It's not obvious there's an enemy. It's not obvious it's upset because, Lord, the lack of expression on Alexstrasza's face is like, I disappointed my math teacher that is both surprised and not surprised at the same time somehow. And this This all reflects on the story, on the stakes, on the attachment the player should have to anything related to immersing oneself into the world. BFA, while it did a bait and switch with the story, it still felt like World of Warcraft by the end. That is saying something. We had some of the best things in WoW before, and the devs took them away. Never brought them back for some reason. I'm talking Mage Tower, challenge modes, and generally difficult and rewarding content. Wait, we have Mage Tower back, a budget version though. And on top of it, nothing else that says dragonflight. No skillful content to chase that rewards you with something that not everyone can achieve. Catering to the masses has neglected the individual. That's you, dude. There's no reward for the time invested in the game. No reward in terms of endgame content, not even in the open world, not in the sense where it would be interesting and worthwhile to chase. You get a few different shapes of horns for your dragons and that's it. Why not full transformations for dragons? But even with that, when everyone has it, it isn't special anymore. And as a consequence, people lose interest in it. I guess you can hop on your epic customized dragon and soar over the high tops and rivers of the Dragon Isles and epically shovel dirt like a peasant for professional knowledge, because nothing says job more than plunging your hands in shit and pulling out relevant work experience for your future resume. But hey, at least the journey is what counts, right? Well, I hope you don't mean the leveling journey, because you are in for a surprise. And by surprise, I mean a total lack thereof. Granted, the dragonflight leveling experience is probably one of the stronger points the expansion has, but that's assuming you are not a new player, because new players be damned in BFA leveling content, or God forbid, Shadowlands, when Exile's Reach is probably the best leveling experience they created, but stopped it at level 10. And can we talk about the wokeness? Jesus! Listen, I am all for inclusivity. The game is supposed to be a living world, albeit a fantasy one, that should offer home to everyone that wants to feel like they belong. But that also means dumbasses like me, who are confused about what the heck is body 1 and body 2. And if we're going to have body types, where is my skinny Kultiran male? And I'm sorry, where is my body 3, body 1 Kultiran character? People have already pointed out the Draktyr for having a weird, undragon-like appearance for them being dragons, and I cannot help but wonder if the decision to design them like this had less to do with what would make sense and fit better into the World of Warcraft, and more to do with making them as genderly ambiguous as possible so that they can be more relatable, when instead they are not. Not for simpletons like us who like to play big muscular characters as heavy metal wielding warriors, or slender, smart looking characters as wise spellcasters. And that is usually fine if it wouldn't have been tied to the new race and class release for the game, which visually does not match with how I would identify in the game, hence why I am not playing Evoker. And I dare speculate why also a lot fewer people play the new race class combo as opposed to the last class release, Demon Hunters, which plagued the groups with purple for 3 patches straight back in Legion. I would hope for the game to feel like a home for everyone, but it's starting to feel like less of a home for me. Maybe that would be fine if the game wouldn't be just plain boring and soulless. But thankfully, you can still make your gameplay experience a lot better, and it's a lot easier than you may think. And conveniently for you right here, this video will help you enjoy WoW a lot more and make the most out of what is the game today.